this isn't about red and blue. We can't boo people because they're Republicans. Anyone who's willing to show change, no matter where they're from, anybody who's willing to start to make a difference is somebody we need on our side here.
Nobody likes agony and pain. Nobody likes sadness. Nobody likes crying. But if that's what we need to bring it together, that's what we gonna do.
I'm not here for a fight. I'm not here to argue with you. I just want to speak. I just want to see your face and know why.
All we can say is that we're going to keep moving forward because we don't have a choice.
It's not about Democrats, it's not about Republicans, this isn't left or right.
Should have been one school shooting, and we should have fixed it. And I'm pissed.
This is more than Parkland. This is more than Florida. This is more than the United States.
Right now at 11, a rotating halo of light shining from the top of the Empire State Building in New York City to honor the victims of the Parkland mass shooting. The very top dimmed tonight. 1 week ago today, a gunman opened fire at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, killing 17 innocent people. But since that horrifying day, people all over the country have joined together to show the survivors and their families they are not alone. Good evening, I'm Todd McDermott.
And I'm Tiffany Kenny. Thank you for joining us tonight. The Parkland community, including survivors, parents, lawmakers, and the NRA, attended a town hall to continue the conversation about how to make our schools safer.
But can I ask all Stoneman Douglas students to please stand up?
Stoneman Douglas students shared their fears about going back to school next week. One student even said, quote, "My friends and I are worried that we are going to be murdered." Jimmy Johnson reports tonight.
A tribute video with a slideshow of the 17 victims killed at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School played at the BB&T Center prior to the town hall Wednesday. It then followed lawmakers giving 1-minute opening statements.
The folks in our community don't want words. They don't want thoughts and prayers. They don't want discussions. They want action, and we owe it to them.
Your hope gives me hope. Your determination gives me more determination.
Sadly, we cannot reverse what happened 7 days ago today. But we can make sure that one of these events never happens again in any community in this country. And if tonight is the beginning of that, then we will have said that this was meaningful.
Parents and students who lost loved ones pressing their representatives about what they will do to prevent this from happening again.
I'm saying that the problems that we're facing here today cannot be solved by gun laws alone. And I'm going to tell you what we've done already and what I hope we'll do moving forward.
Were guns the factor in the hunting of our kids?
Of course they were. And here's
it's the weapon of choice. Can you say that?
My brother Alex was killed in the shooting last Wednesday. I'm supposed to go back to school in this upcoming week. My friends and I are worried that we are going to be murdered in our classrooms. What reassurances can you give me, and what specifically are you going to do to make sure that we can't have this fear?
The best way for us to show that is to take action in Washington, in Tallahassee, to get these weapons of war off of our streets.
A message most of this audience seems to agree with, but it's up to lawmakers to deliver on the change they want to see. This debate will continue in the days and months to come, a growing memorial, a reminder of what this community is fighting for. Reporting in Parkland, Jimmy Johnson, WPBF 25 News.
I don't believe that this insane monster should have ever been able to obtain a firearm, ever. I do not think that he should have gotten his hands on any kind of weapon. That's number one. This individual was nuts. And I, nor the millions of people that I represent as a part of this organization that I'm here speaking for, none of us support people who are crazy, who are a danger to themselves, who are a danger to others, getting their hands on a firearm.
A spokesperson for the National Rifle Association told the students there tonight that she is fighting for them. Dana Lesh told the crowd at tonight's town hall that the Parkland shooter should not have been able to get his hands on a firearm. Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel confronted her, saying, quote, "You're not standing up for the student survivors until you say, I want less weapons."
My daughter has no voice. She was murdered last week, and she was taken from us. Shot 9 times on the 3rd floor. Now, we, as a country, failed our children. This shouldn't happen.
Like this afternoon, President Donald Trump met with students who survived last week's shooting, parents who lost children like that man, Andrew Pollock, and teachers from Stoneman Douglas High School, as well as 2 other infamous school shootings. 75 minutes of anger, tears, heartbreak, and a call to action. Sitting in the White House with the president, many made passionate pleas for dramatic change in American gun laws.
And my 14-year-old brother was directly above me in that classroom where Scott Beagle was murdered. Scott Beagle got my brother into class. He was the last kid to get back into that class.
Why not my child? Which I feel bad saying. I'm happy that he's here with me. But I feel so bad for all of you who have lost so many.
School teachers have more than enough responsibilities right now than to have the awesome responsibility of lethal force to take a life. Thank you. Nobody wants to see a shootout in a school, and a deranged sociopath on his way to commit an act of murder in a school with the outcome, knowing the outcome is going to be suicide, is not going to care if there's somebody there with a gun. That's their plan anyway.
That man lost his 6-year-old son in the Sandy Hook mass shooting in Newtown, Connecticut. He believes arming teachers with guns in schools will not keep children safe, but President Trump disagreed, suggesting teachers could go for special training to be able to carry firearms on school campuses. The president also suggesting eliminating gun-free zones.
Gun-free zone to a maniac, because they're all cowards. A gun-free zone is let's go in and let's attack, because bullets aren't coming back at us.
The National Rifle Association supports that position. The president's own solutions included adding more mental institutions and hospitals, or perhaps deploying armed retired members of the military to guard every American school. President Trump pledged to get to work on preventing school shootings immediately following what the White House called a listening session.
Within this past week alone, a movement has begun. A movement that demands change at a state and national level.
An unprecedented response to gun violence. Today, Stoneman Douglas High School survivors took their message to the state capitol. Students are demanding a ban on weapons like the one Nicholas Cruz used to kill their friends and teachers just 1 week ago. Students met with lawmakers, but some say they were turned away from legislators' offices because meetings were by appointment only. Inside the Capitol Rotunda, survivors of the mass shooting relived their worst nightmare. Many turned those feelings of loss and heartbreak into a call for action.
Never again should a child be afraid to go to school. Never again should students have to protest for their lives. Never again should an innocent life be taken while trying to gain an education.
I'm supposed to be going back to school in less than a week, and I'm not ready. I don't think anybody here is ready. I don't think anybody here is ready to go back to class and just have an empty seat. And you know that empty seat is because someone's dead.
Students also rallied outside the state capitol carrying signs calling for change. And our co-anchor Felicia Rodriguez continues our team coverage from Tallahassee tonight.
Stoneman Douglas students arrived here in Tallahassee optimistic, determined, and passionate about their message, but many left disappointed by lawmakers' reactions. Now, earlier today, you could feel the energy as thousands rallied outside the state capitol for stricter gun laws. Students on a journey for change, wanting their voices heard and demanding legislators take action soon. What is it about your message you think will make change?
I think because a lot of times when this happens, like in Sandy Hook, you hear from the parents of victims and people affected, but like we are the victims. We were there and we have a really unique perspective on it because we can tell you exactly what happened and how we were affected by it. And I think that that should make the legislators listen to us.
I agree. Like, it was just, we're not going to stop till we see change.
And these students have certainly gotten the attention of lawmakers. I spoke with State Senate President Joe Negron. He's from the Treasure Coast. Here's what he had to say.
These students came here not only asking, but demanding, and they want reassurance that something is going to get done.
And I think we are acting quickly and appropriately and with great vigilance to make sure that we address this we've always been committed to our schools being safe. My students attended public school in Martin County, all graduated from South Fork High School. I've spent many, many hours of my life walking those halls, going to events there. So this hits home to all of us. We are taking steps to address the issue, and we will continue to do that.
The last listening session of the night for students was with Governor Rick Scott. That was a closed-door meeting. The students are now on their way back home to South Florida. In Tallahassee, Felicia Rodriguez, WPBF 25 News.
And students across the country continue to walk out of class to stand and march in solidarity with the students of Stoneman Douglas High School. School walkouts happened in a number of states, including Arizona, Minnesota, Illinois. The national movement, now known as Never Again, started last week, right after the shooting in Parkland. Here in South Florida, students in Miami-Dade and Broward counties held up signs saying, "I am fed up, we all are." Students from Coral Springs High School and Cooper City High School formed giant hearts on their school's football fields. In Palm Springs, students at G-Star School of the Arts followed suit, walking to the edge of school boundaries. Students chanted and urged everyone to stand with them.
It's ridiculous that we still have to be out here protesting gun violence.
We should go to schools to be educated, not afraid.
We're sharing a message, and at least we shared it. I'm not sure how far it'll go, but I hope that the right people will hear it and will do something about this.
The students at G-Star School of the Arts also observed 17 minutes of silence to honor the 17 lives lost in Parkland.
Today, it's the start of it. Tomorrow, we will continue it, and we will never stop until we get it. I'm a senior. Let's go!
Thousands of people returned to Stoneman Douglas High School to honor those they lost 1 week ago. The government taking 17 innocent lives on this day. Students from nearby schools walked to the site of last week's mass shooting, sharing their anger, their concern, and their love for their community.
Knowledge is power, and being together as a community, coming together as one, whether if we're walking 11 miles, 4 miles, coming together as a community as one, that's what we are. United we stand.
Students and parents also dropped off flowers and balloons at the memorial right outside Stoneman Douglas High.
Broward County deputies will now carry rifles on school grounds in the county. Sheriff Scott Israel made that announcement tonight. He says he's planning to issue rifles to trained resource deputies at the public schools in Broward County. Sheriff Israel says the Broward County superintendent also supports the idea.
My approach to this whole thing is never again. Never again. And every decision I make, this investigation is going to be geared towards making sure that I've done everything I possibly can to try and make sure these incidents never happen again.
Sheriff Israel has faced some criticism for the department's response to the shooting. He said there was an armed deputy on campus at the time of the shooting, but he did not fire his gun.
For you to point fingers is not the way of fixing any issues. It's about holding each other's hands.
A survivor shot in the halls of Stoneman Douglas High School shares her story tonight, what she hopes for moving forward.
Plus, for the first time, the Broward school superintendent addressing reports that administrators had requested a threat assessment on Nicholas Cruz more than a year ago. You're watching WPBF 25 News.
I was shot at. In my mind, as a kid, nothing ever that horrible should ever have to happen to you.
All I did was I sent my daughter to school. It's all that I did that day on Valentine's Day. And today I'm visiting her in her cemetery.
I lost a best friend. He was practically a brother. And I'm here to use my voice because I know he can't.
The time for change wasn't now. The time for change was years ago.
My innocence, our innocence has been taken from us.
Never again should a student be silenced by gunshots.
For the politicians, if you aren't with us, you're against us.
My friends and I, my community and I have stared down the barrel of an AR-15 the way you have not. How dare you tell us we don't know what we're talking about?
Hey, you can't be no PTA!
New at 11, a student who saw two of her friends die just a few feet in front of her is reliving those terrifying moments. That's 18-year-old Samantha Fuentes. She's a cadet in the junior ROTC program at Stoneman Douglas High School and was shot in both legs. She also still has a piece of shrapnel behind her eye.
Fuentes says she and other students hid in a classroom as the gunfire rang out through the school.
It's amazing that Samantha Fuentes can even walk. She was shot in both legs, and there's shrapnel lodged behind her right eye.
At first, there wasn't any pain, actually, because I was so in shock. There's so much adrenaline.
Samantha is a senior at Stoneman Douglas. She was hiding in her classroom when gunfire came through a window in the door.
I remember not hearing for a while because of how loud the shots were, and then looking around and seeing my classmates and seeing that they were alive, and then looking over and seeing that two of my classmates were limp and not moving, not mobile, not verbal at all.
She watched as her friends, Helena Ramsey and Nicholas Dorrit, died just feet away from her.
Helena was like overtly shot in the chest, so I thought that she was done, but I couldn't see Nick's face, but he most likely was shot in the face. And I remember panicking and then trying to calm everyone else down for a moment and then panicking again. I remember checking their pulses and trying to see if they were alive, but they weren't.
This is Samantha. She was taken out of the school on a stretcher and loaded into an ambulance. It's been a long week of recovery, and she says her goal now is joining the other students from Stoneman Douglas in the fight to change gun laws.
What's your message now? What do you want people to know?
The scenarios like this are entirely preventable, and that for you to point fingers is not the way of fixing any issues. It's about holding each other's hands, and it's about uniting and acknowledging what the real issues are, and that's that people are getting guns when they don't need to.
Fuentes said despite her pain, she wanted to be at tonight's town hall in Sunrise.
Nicholas Dorrit.
The Broward County School Board met tonight for the first time since last Wednesday's mass shooting. Headman Superintendent Robert Runcie addressed the reports that administrators had requested a threat assessment on Nicholas Cruz back in January 2017.
He was involved in fighting an assault, and that there was a reference that he was referred for a threat assessment. Can you tell me what happened with that threat assessment?
I can't discuss in detail students' records, but I will tell you that students get into conflict and altercation. That's something that happens in schools.
He had an obsession with guns that was known.
You know, I can't speculate on where students are going to go based on behaviors. We have staff that evaluate where a student is. And
did they fail in this case?
You know, I would say the whole entire system failed.
Now, this is the first time Superintendent Runcie has admitted the school board bears part of the blame for last week's tragedy. School records show the board was aware Nicholas Cruz was transferred from a special behavioral center to Stoneman Douglas High School in 2016. The report also indicates school administrators were aware Cruz had a fascination with guns and violence.
Well, tomorrow, the Parkland community will say goodbye to 3 more victims. A celebration of life is scheduled for Kara Loughran. Assistant football coach Aaron Feist will be laid to rest in Coral Springs. And visitation for Helena Ramsey will be held in Coral Springs. And our coverage of the Parkland mass shooting continues on WPBF.com. You can also download our free mobile news app to get updates sent right to your smartphone. Mike?
All right, Tiffany, let's talk a little bit about the weather. A warm, breezy day across South Florida. More of the same coming our way on Thursday and Friday, and rain chances going up just a bit as we head toward the weekend. We'll update radar in just a second. High today was 84. And how about that morning low? Well above average, 74 earlier today. Right now, still warm, 75 in West Palm and Boca, 73 in Stewart and Port St. Lucie. Away from the warm waters of the Atlantic and the Gulf Stream, it's a little cooler temperatures inland in the mid-60s. First alert Doppler radar still tracking a couple of showers. This one at Boynton Beach just about done as it continues to move on shore. There's been 1 or 2 showers across South Florida tonight. You can see the shower much weaker still. Let's track it as it moves off toward the northwest. We'll move across these locations between now and about midnight, but again, not much left of it. And a couple of other showers just east of the Treasure Coast, also moving on shore. So 1 or 2 quick showers across the region. That trend continues on Thursday and Friday. By the weekend, a bit more moisture. The high pressure system we've been tracking will track a little bit farther west into the Gulf. That'll allow 1 or 2 disturbances to move on shore. Still not a washout. I think the best chance of rain Saturday and Sunday. Overnight and early in the morning during the day. It should be beautiful. Overnight tonight, temperatures will be warm. 60s for the Treasure Coast, mid-70s for the Palm Beaches, and highs tomorrow. Again, warm with those highs in the mid-80s. Forecast for tonight, warm, humid, got a stray shower. Temperatures in the 70s, some gusty winds tomorrow. High temperature about 83, and those winds mean rough boating conditions again on Thursday. Seas 2 to 4 feet, inland waters choppy. Rip currents continue to be a big issue at area beaches. First Alert 7-day forecast, the only station certified most accurate here in South Florida. 30% chance of rain again, mostly in the morning on Saturday and Sunday. Otherwise, no big change in your weather. And that is the weather.
Mike, thank you. The one-time local man just charged with the murder of his wife nearly a year after she vanished at sea near the Bahamas faced a judge today. Federal agents say evidence shows Lewis Bennett falsely claimed that Delray Beach realtor Isabel Hellman, the mother of his child, fell overboard when their catamaran hit something while he was below deck. The FBI believes evidence now shows he intentionally cut holes from the inside to sink the boat. An attorney for Hellman's family says they want justice.
Time will tell what the right outcome for this is. All we know now is that he's been charged with murder, and the family is going to let the process work its way through the system and resolve itself. If he's convicted, then the family may have a request and a recommendation of sentencing.
Just yesterday, Bennett was sentenced to 7 months in prison in a separate case for transporting stolen silver and gold coins. The FBI says Bennett, a professional sailor from Great Britain, never searched for Isabel Hellman, but loaded the raft with supplies and those coins. The next hearing on the murder charge happens next week. Tonight, people all over the world are remembering the Reverend Billy Graham. The famous Baptist minister and evangelist died at his home in North Carolina. Graham, one of the most influential religious voices in American history. He prayed with every U.S. president from Harry Truman to Barack Obama. President Donald Trump tweeted this morning, "There was nobody like him. He'll be missed by Christians and all religions, a very special man." It is estimated Reverend Graham preached to more than 250 million people in 185 countries. Billy Graham was 99 years old.
Well, Governor Rick Scott and his administration are taking steps to limit opioid prescriptions as part of the state's Medicaid program. Prescriptions for narcotics in the Medicaid program will be limited to a maximum 7-day supply. Medicaid is no longer requiring prior authorization for certain medication-assisted treatments to help fight opioid addiction. The governor believes these changes will go a long way in curbing the opioid crisis. Round 1 of the Honda Classic starts tomorrow.
So tonight, we'll show you some of the famous faces who played in today's Pro-Am. You're watching WPBF 25 News.
Round 1 of the Honda Classic starts tomorrow, and today pro golfers like Jim Furyk, Tiger Woods, Ricky Fowler played alongside the likes of Larry the Cable Guy, Kid Rock, and Kenny G in the Pro-Am. The tournament lasts through Sunday. The largest music festival around is still 71 days away, and today we learned who will headline this year's Sunfest.
To start your planning, Sunfest organizers announced a quick run through here on Thursday, May 3rd. Headliners Logic, Billy Idol, Girl Talk. Next day, headliners are Zedd and Incubus. Saturday, it's Nick Jonas and 311. And on the final day, Sunday, Pitbull, Sublime with Rome, and DNCE. The festival on the West Palm Beach waterfront. 4 days this year instead of 5. Big change. Adult tickets start at $37. We posted the entire lineup on our WPBF 25 News Facebook page. Here are tonight's winning lottery numbers. You're watching WPBF 25 News.
WPBF 25 Beach and Boating Forecast, sponsored by Celebrity Cruises.
The 2018 Cadillac XT5. Beauty,
greater than the sum of its parts.
Current GM lessees get this low-mileage lease on this Cadillac XT5 from around $299 per month. Visit your local Cadillac dealer.
This is a can't-miss event. Get to Nissan now for big offers on Rogue. With ProPilot Assist that helps keep you centered in your lane. The technology of tomorrow, available today. Save big on our entire lineup now. It's time for an upgrade.